That's your news this morning. Of course, we want to embark on a discussion today with our panelists who are already in the studio. And President Uhuru Kenyatta will address his final State of the Nation address before the August election on Wednesday afternoon. In a Gazette notice dated March 10th, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi and his Senate Speaker Ekwe Thuro notified MPs and senators that the special sitting will be held in the National Assembly's chambers. The State of the Nation event is an annual constitutional requirement where the president is accorded the opportunity to address the country on matters of national interest. Last year's address was characterized by ugly incidents after some Orange Democratic Movement MPs staged a noisy protest right inside the chambers, momentarily disrupting the president's speech. The MPs shouted and blew whistles, ignoring orders from National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi to maintain silence. Given it is his last State of the Nation address before Kenya goes to the polls, it is expected that the president might use the opportunity to drum up support for his re-election by highlighting the Jubilee government's scorecard for the last 4 years. So today we critically analyze, scrutinize and criticize Jubilee's scorecard here on People and Politics. And we're asking you, how would you rate Jubilee's performance scorecard for the last 4 years? How would you rate Jubilee's performance scorecard for the last 4 years? Hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is a Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is our profile name on Facebook. And I want to take this opportunity also to introduce our panelists who are already here in the studio. We have with us Senator Boni Khalwale, who is a senator from Kakamega. We have also with us Senator Mutai Kagwe from Nyeri. Also, we do have with us Herman Manyora, who is the resident analyst, and also he is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. We do have with us as well Mithika Linturi, who is a member of parliament from Igembe South, and also Senator Kimani Omatangi, who is a member of parliament from, or a senator from Kiambu. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Right, thank you for joining us. And it's good to see you as well. We've run a lot of stories this morning that I want you also to comment on. But we want also to look at what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today. And of course, this part that has been going on, we don't want really to belabor the point. But I just wanted to get maybe a reaction, you to tell us what has been going on, especially in Mombasa. If we may begin with you, Herman Manyora, the spark that has been going on between Governor Joho and President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Before I say this, there must be some disclaimer here that I don't think, at least for me, I don't want to appear to disrespect the president, or when we make comments here, they should not be misconstrued to mean we have any form of disrespect. In fact, on this bench, more than anybody else, I've always said that when somebody says something about the president that I don't like, I always say, let's not go that direction. I'm saying this because there's some foreigner who runs some TV thing online, and he said very, very bad things about me.
About you?
Yeah, because of the comments I made here yesterday. I was on some show here on Kiswahili, and he seems to be implying that I was disrespectful to the head of state. I'm some man, I don't want to mention him, some foreigner, Ugandan. He has some stupid TV thing. So anyway, I think this Mombasa thing is not a good show. It doesn't portray us in bad light, in good light. I think those who love and respect the president would wish to see him conduct himself with some decorum, befitting the office of the president. At the same time, we also wish to inform others like Joho that they ought to respect the president. Because whether you like him or not, whether you didn't vote for him or you voted for him, he's the president of the Republic of Kenya, and he deserves respect. And I advise us to the president must actually put it to him that there are certain things we don't expect from the president. Certain use of language. Of course, language is highly contextual. You cannot understand anything unless you have the context or the environment. There are certain things as Kenyans we wouldn't mind. When Kibaki was saying kumbafu, for us we didn't mind it. But if we went somewhere and said like that, the context may not be right. So when you use language, you always know that you must use it to suit the occasion and the person you are. That's what people are saying. They're not saying there's anything wrong with the president getting annoyed. But then as he talks, people are listening to the head of
Thank
state.
you. All right, let's hear from...
so it is important, I think,
all right.
we make it clear that.
Bone Halwale.
What happened in Mombasa was wrong. It should not have happened. But it reminds me of what we learn in elementary psychology, i.e., there is nothing like a slip of the tongue. I would have wanted to take it to mean that the president had slip of the tongue, to say that he was not, what did he say? That he was not Joho's wife?
Yes.
Did he say? That he was not Joho's wife. So, because psychologists believe that there's nothing like a slip of the tongue, for the president to have said that he was not Joho's wife, it was right there at the back of his mind. It should worry people that a man can ever imagine that he's another man's wife.
All right, let's hear from Senator.
Thank you very much. I think let's put this thing in context. The first thing to say, or the first thing to appreciate, is that the president, whether it is the president of Kenya or the president of another country, is the symbol of that nation. And more important than the holder of the office is the office itself, because the office is what unites a nation and what prevents anarchy happening in the country. So when you have the president, it's imperative that we have confidence, that we have respect for that office. Now, having said that, the person who occupies that office, may it be President Uhuru Kenyatta, may it be President Moi or any other president, the president is also a human being. You know, you do not get the president from Mars. They come from here in our country. They are human beings like you and I, with feelings like you and I have. And the third thing is that we have developed a very, very bad notion where it is seen that when you attack the president, you score points. You become popular by attacking the president. In fact, in this country, there is also something else. If you want somebody to really become popular, send them to jail, arrest them, all right? Yes. Then they become very popular. In fact, if you wanted Bonnie to become extra popular, you just pick him up today, he gets people from his village, show that he was arrested somewhere in a police station, and he becomes an extremely popular individual. In other words, this notion that if you abuse the president, then you are scoring points. You are getting, you know, you are becoming the most popular villager there is. I think it's a wrong thing, and it's a wrong way of looking at it. And I think that respect for the office is first and foremost what we should do. And I also said that simultaneously, there is this thing, and it's not just Joho. It's a common thing across the country, amongst governors. And we must appreciate that Kenya does not have independent states called counties. It doesn't have federal states called counties. Kenya has devolved units called counties. Devolved units do not represent independent states. And all these issues, the issue rotating around which projects are which. Are these projects for counties? Are these projects for the country? All projects are for the country.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from Mythical Inturi.
Yeah, if I allow me say this, that indeed, and borrowing from what Mutai Kagwa has just said, we must be in a position to really respect the end of state as a symbol of unity for this country. And you realize that we have a constitutional duty as state officers or as Kenyans to respect the law, to respect the constitution and the constitution. And I am invoking this particular provision because, you know, anybody that has any office bestowed upon him by the constitution must behave in a manner that brings honor to that particular office. We do this because offices are earned. The occupiers of those offices own them in trust for the people of Kenya. And if people may ask themselves why, under Article 143 of the Constitution of Kenya, any criminal or civil proceedings can never be instituted against the president at the time of office was to cushion the president from embarrassment as long as he served as the president of the republic. But that's not to mean that he has full immunity. That suspension was to make sure that the president is not bullied, overcoats, insulted, banned ones, talked saying about them because of protection of in court, so that at least as a symbol of national unity, people can see a statesman who represents and owns the unity of Kenya. So whatever these governors, because I saw this clip, I saw something happening in Narok, Turkana, whatever was going to happen in Mombasa yesterday, and remembering the kind of spat they had again when the president was there, most likely Joho was, remember, government has its own intelligence system. So I would not have expected them to have behaved or to have done that with malice. They're only trying to avert a situation that would have been embarrassing to the Kenyan people, and not even to the head of state himself, to the Kenyans, because we cannot have rogue people out there insulting and trying to disrespect the office of the president unabated.
All right, okay, maybe the probing question will be, Senator Matangi, do you think the president himself respects this particular office?
Thank you, Dibal. Let me say, yesterday, unfortunately, I lost a brother-in-law, and I was completely out of politics, and so, but I followed.
Our sympathies.
Thank you. I followed closely. I intend to issue a statement on this later, so I want to reserve my comments.
Later will be what time?
Until when I call for a statement. It is important that I do that later, but I need to get the background of it.
So during this show?
No, after.
After?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see from...
I think what has been raised by Senator Mutahi Kagwe and Linturi is extremely deceptive. That Joho was being disrespectful. Kenyans must look at the genesis of this. The first time Joho was assumed to have been disrespectful was when Joho stood alongside the president and said, the project the president is about to launch started in 2010. And the people of Mombasa were expecting to receive the same billions that the president rolls out when he is in Central Province.
Yes.
That was not insulting. Number two, the case of yesterday, Linturi and Mutahi Kagwe. Joho said nothing. He did nothing. He only remembered that under the Constitution, ferries is a devolved function. And therefore, if the president was going to speak to a ferry function, it was incumbent upon him as the governor to be present. So what was easier than the president's team calling the governor and telling him that you are an unwelcome guest, instead of humiliating him? In fact, he's lucky that was in Mombasa. If it was in Kakamega, the bullfighters would have been all over the place, expressing their anger. I tell you.
Bonnie.
Yes.
Two things. Let me respond in two ways. The first one has to do with, it is not just what you say.
Yes.
It is how you say it. All right? If I can tell you, Bonnie, you are wrong in what you are saying. And I can also tell you, huyu mtu ajui nasema nini? You know, what school did you go to? All right? Now, these are two very different things. So the tone that one uses to dismiss away a president who is sitting next to him, to say this has got nothing to do with you and so on and so forth, that is not, politely speaking, a stupid statement. All right? Number two, there is this notion that, Bonnie, you try to perpetuate permanently.
Yes.
Because you cannot, you have just said it just now, again and again, that the president should have talked about the billions that he is doling out in Central Province. Trying to perpetuate the notion
In Mount Kenya.
That whether it is Mount Kenya, whether it is Central, we know what you are trying to say. It is wrong. Because first of all, it is not true. Right? It is not true. The people in Central Province are Kenyans. And the people in Central Province deserve whatever they can get from the government. What is not true, what you don't seem to appreciate, is that the people in Central Province are also fighting and complaining that the government is doling out money in Kakamega and elsewhere, all right, and not getting any part of it. And you have seen it in the newspapers. You have seen the complaints yourself. You know how the president was attacked when he was in State Lodge by Central Province people.
There is a video doing the round.
So you cannot, honestly.
There is a video doing the round.
You cannot, honestly. You cannot. You know, that is just political. It is for political purposes. It is to perpetuate the notion that the government is giving more to Central Province and other regions, which is not true.
There is a video doing the rounds on WhatsApp.
Yes,
which is saying,
just a moment.
I wanted to.
Just a moment. Just to link the two.
Yes.
There's a video doing the rounds on WhatsApp saying that when the president goes to Central, he parades development.
Yes.
When he goes to Mombasa, he's parading
parades
defectors.
Which is true. In Mombasa, he does both. In Transberry, Central Province does not have defectors. We are all in Jubilee. Mombasa is already moving in front.
Now, what is important here for Senator Mutahi Kagwe,
I want to
it
refresh
is
these
about
people's
perceptions.
Yes.
That politics is about perceptions.
True.
If the president is perceived to be favoring one region, that perception ought to be corrected by the establishment. But because I have the floor, I need just half a second to say this. Mutahi Kagwe, it is true, the president is a human being like you and I. All of us are different persons. You are Mutahi Kagwe, the senator, you are a father, you are a wife, and in each
No,
of
I'm a husband, not a wife.
a husband. Today we are today you are the one who has brought this issue. My apologies. No, please. You know you are the doctor. You are the doctor here. My serious apologies. As a husband, you don't use the language you use outside when you are talking to your wife. As a president, you use the language that a president should use because you are the president. When you go to your house, you can't even refer to your wife as the first lady. You use nice words, nice terms, honey, what? You know, this is what language allows us to do. Language allows us to play the different roles we are, because we are many things. We are many subjects, people say. So language allows you to play each of these roles properly. So the president is a human being, but if you read Things Fall Apart, I was saying here yesterday on
But
Swahili,
the problem question I
in
asked,
Things Fall Apart, you have a goddess, for example. You go with her in the market, she's a normal human being. But in the evening, you are going to her to consult her as a goddess. She behaves as a goddess. I said on this show, when you are in the Supreme Court, you are a god or a goddess, god with small g. And you perform the roles of a judge of Supreme Court. If you are a lady justice, like the deputy one, you are a goddess.
Right.
So you can't say, oh, me, I'm a human being,
Okay,
and yet you are sitting on the bench.
Oh,
No,
let's say
you can't
from,
sit there as
Mithika.
a human being. You sit
Mithika
on that
Linturi?
bench as a goddess of justice.
You know, I want then to say, I want to say this, that, you know, Bonnie and others are trying to create that perception that Mount Kenya is favored by the Uhuru administration. And I wanted him to refresh his mind, to understand, as Mutahi Kagwe said, that people in that region also complain. Because personally what I see, if I was to make such decisions, I personally will not be doing it. Because when we sign projects, when you are talking about parenting defectors, look at what the kind of projects that were launched in Mombasa,
Ferries,
the
what have
ferries,
you?
coast, the roads, over
Lighting
10,
projects,
yes,
water.
billions of shillings. When we look at the kind of projects that have come to that region, none. I have seen it. And this I did in this show one time, trying to advise the president and telling my brother, look here, politics is not just like as the president, or it's not just like the Kanisa, whereby the Bible says you leave 199 sheep, go chasing for one. Here is about the numbers, and you will not be able to leave the people of Central Kenya complaining, the people of Meru complaining, and everybody else complaining just because you want that one Luya vote, right? Which you may not even get at the end of the day and the cost. I have personally talked about it on this show. But what I meant at that particular time is that even as you do, because you have a duty to develop this country and to give projects, kindly don't forget your supporting base. And that's what we meant. So when anybody talks around favoritism in Mount Kenya, favoritism in Jubilee strongholds, it's a lie. It's not true. And it's important to send the right message to Kenyans.
You will continue carrying that skunk. The skunk is real. When the president was in Mount Kenya, he wrote off debts owed by coffee farmers.
Like the ones for sugar?
Can I?
Yeah.
You know it.
400 million and the billion
The president, on the other hand, when he came to Western, he added the indebtedness of the people of Kakamega by coming with 1 billion, which was a loan from Kenya Sugar Development Levy. Never mind that even the money at Kenya Sugar Development Levy is the contribution by our farmers. I'm glad that the two of you are nowhere near the presidency. We thought the young blood like you would then, when you take over, remember Kakamega. Thank God you are nowhere near.
But they are taking over.
At least he acknowledges we are taking over.
In conclusion, Mr. Dibal, on this, because we seem to be losing focus. The focus was on the bad manners of the president. I think I want to agree with Mutahi Kagwe that when we look at President Uhuru, we should also look at the office. I think we also have people around him who are failing him in the office. I recall he came to Western, and Senator Wetangula and I went to receive him happily as local leaders, and we were treated like dogs. They could not even allow the crowds to wave at us. The crowds could only wave after the president left. So we followed and followed. So this is the bad manners of the handlers of the presidency.
All right. We'll shall a bit look also at the Meru politics as well. And just to draw your attention also on the 12th of March, the Sunday Nation, we can allude to also what Honorable Mythical Inturi is saying. Jubilee, if we may just speak it, he says the Jubilee risks losing Meru over projects. That was in Sunday Nation's. Let me try and make it so that you can make it full there, so that you can see it in full. Yeah, just a moment, just don't take it away, so that we can actually see it and what it says as I make it. All right. Okay, yeah, there we go. Jubilee risks losing Meru over projects. And it says that Meru Senator Kiraitu Murungi has said they have advised the president to stay away from the county until key road projects are ready for opening. Addressing Igembe North leaders in Lare yesterday, which was on Saturday, Mr. Murungi said Meru leaders had conveyed their concerns over unfulfilled promises that had made Jubilee government lose popularity in the country. This comes after the National Super Alliance leaders received a warm welcome in Igembe North in what was seen as dissatisfaction with the government's development record. That is a sidebar story that we can see there on page 25 of the Sunday Nation. So you want
that should worry the president. If indeed somebody as strong as Kiraitu Murungi is saying that the government has not delivered the development to Meru, and that the president should keep off until such a development is now delivered, and given that we only have 4 months or 5 months to election, and that you cannot do stuff like roads in this short period, even tendering a loan is not possible, is it not like saying Jubilee is in trouble? Mm-hmm. And listen, look here, Diba. The problem we have now is we are going back to the pre-Kibaki days. Kibaki had set us on a path where people had begun to understand it is not the president who doles out projects and development.
Yes.
This is done by parliament through the budgetary process.
Precisely.
And there's no way a president should stand somewhere and say, okay, kutoka leo hii barabara itaanza. Where is he getting the money? Kibaki had taught us good manners. I'm not happy that we are going back to the bad manners, the days before Kibaki. And why is this happening? It's happening because development is not a product of serious thought and policy. We are doling out development with the politics in mind. That this government is hell-bent on PR. If you are doing things because of PR, not because you believe they are good things, then you will end up with the problems we have today.
All right. Let's hear from,
I think,
before we take a short break. Yes.
Yes, I think, Prof, with all due respect, you need to also relook or refresh your mind on the Constitution and the roles, the various roles of each of the three arms of government.
Correct.
The arm of government called Parliament makes laws, including appropriating that money.
Correct.
The role of the executive, where the presidency falls, has the role of implementation.
Correct.
And implementation includes what you're talking about. So there is
includes roadside declarations.
Excuse me, Prof. There is absolutely no departure. Once in Parliament we have appropriated and allocated monies, this is going to go into this ministry, this is going to go into this function. Then the work of the executive, the presidency included, is to ensure that money goes there, that those projects are indeed carried out and they're completed in time. So don't create this impression that there is anything either political or off the rule when the president or the presidency or any member of the executive, including, you've been seeing what CSs do, who fall in the executive. I mean, they go in their own ministries. You've seen one of the very active young CSs in the new Ministry of Public Service, going out to ensure this project has been done. There is absolutely nothing wrong. So let's not just also read politics where we intend to read it so that we can either gain or ridicule the efforts of the president. I think in the first place, what we should be saying, and remember we have had this debate a lot, is that, you know, we have to lead from the front, and the president must do that. He has to be seen out there where the action is, and that's what he's doing.
Well, you know, as the president runs around frantically to launch projects, some not even in the budget, all he's trying to do is PR to make Kenyans focus on the theoretical, hypothetical projects in the name of sisi tunaleta maendeleo. This is not going to remove Kenyans' greatest concern, that at the beginning, 5 years ago, the president had a very fat manifesto. He should today not be speaking about launching projects. He should now be speaking to his scorecard, saying, I have since now come to open the factory that I promised, which I have built. Surely, how do you expect those kilometers of road in Coast Province to be completed in 4 months when they couldn't do it in 4 years?
Okay.